2 weeks ago, we made our Super Bowl 56 picks.
Big game. Bengals, Rams. Who do you got?
I think Cincinnati's going to pull it out. I think it'll be 27-17 Bengals.
It's a tough one. I am going to go with the Bengals. Bday. I'm going to pick with the Bengals. I'm going to go with the Bengals in this one. I'm going to say 24-20.
It's going to be one hell of a game. It's going to be an absolute dogfight. I'm going to put my money on the man who was pretty much kicked Cincinnati to where they are today, and that is Mr. Evan Money Mac McPherson. The Bengals are going to rely on him. Joe Burrow's going to drive him down the field, get into the field goal range. He's going to come onto the field, biggest moment of his rookie career. He's going to put the ball through the uprights and give Cincinnati a win over the Rams in the Super Bowl by a final score of 23-21.
Whoa! I'm pulling for Cincinnati. I love Burrow. I'm pulling for that Cinderella team. I said there were a problem in week 6, but the league, I think, is trying to give Matt Stafford that bullshit ring for all them years compensated for having to deal with Detroit. I think it's some bullshit that goes on. I'm not saying the refs going to completely screw the Bengals, but I think that they're trying to give Matt Stafford the ring. So I'm pulling and root like hell for the Bengals. Bday, but I'm going to say the Rams going to pull it off in overtime. I am scared of the Bengals O-line against Aaron Donald. I will say that. That's a matchup that's
the
really
reason why.
terrifying.
That's the reason why I was on the verge
If
of
they
picking the
can get in
Rams.
his face, oh my God. Aaron Donald ain't going to let Burrow get through his arms. I'm sorry, but I love Burrow. So hopefully they can block him. I hope this is reverse psychology, honestly. I hope my prediction don't come true, but I'm going to say the Rams in overtime, 27-24 off a field goal. They get a stop and they get the ball back. Aaron Donald, he eats in that game, and I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Aaron Donald is your Super Bowl MVP with 3 sacks.
Joe Burrow has got to be the best Joe Burrow he can be. He's got to play at his highest level. He's got to, and I think that's where it's going to be the difference between Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow. Is while Matt Stafford can have his great moments, he's also been very inconsistent, where Joe Burrow has just been an absolute beast at what he's been doing. The man has got a cannon for a fucking arm.
Yes.
The guy, I predict will throw over 350 yards this game. He's going to have a 300-plus yard game. And it's not saying that the defense is bad. I'm just saying that he is going to just absolutely let loose. But it's going to be a close game, though. It's going to be close. Here's my score. And you might think I'm nuts, but here we go. 31-28 Cincinnati.
Previewed the game, what both teams needed to do to win the Super Bowl.
The thing that worries me about this game, more or less for the Rams, is the inconsistency of Matt Stafford. And that is no, unfortunately with him, that's very well known, is that he's very inconsistent when it counts. Joe Burrow is just while he's young, but the thing is in this game, especially for a young guy like Joe, he has to learn to play smart. He has to play smart. He has to play diligent. He has to make the proper plays when they count. And you can't be going on doing stupid things like 4th and 1 or anything like that. Coaching decisions got to be made right on his end. Joe has got that deep ball, which I believe is going to be the absolute thing that just shreds through the defense. Is Joe has got that deep ball and can throw for a lot of yardage per game.
This game is going to be an interesting matchup because these two teams did not play each other during the regular season, and that's the most intriguing part about this game. So my excitement level, I would say, is a 10 because that's how intriguing this game is, because this is not a usual matchup that you see on a regular basis. The Rams defense, I'm looking for their defense to be headhunters. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, all of those guys coming after Burrow. And this is where it leads to my concern for Cincinnati. If I'm Cincinnati, your offensive line needs to block because their offensive line is not good. And that is where defense wins championships. because the Rams defense is really, really good. Because the one thing that Stafford has in his corner is the fact that he has a defense that he can turn to if he makes a critical mistake. Bengals have very good offensive players, and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, and all those, and Joe Mixon on the offensive end. And their defense is no slouches either. Their defense is pretty solid too. I'm telling you, the Bengals have nothing to lose in this Super Bowl because they can be coming back to this. Because if they can get an offensive line, as far as signing free agents and getting offensive linemen in the draft, and maybe drafting and signing some defensive linemen in the offseason, the Bengals next year will be more stacked. The Rams, go hard or go home. Win or go broke, basically. Because signing Odell Beckham Jr., halfway through the season, and getting him and all those defensive players. I mean, it's going to be a wild Super Bowl.
Tonight, we recap Super Bowl 56 right now. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sports. Members of the Busted Open Nation bring to you our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Ezra Vickers, Joey Thornton, Kevin Rorie, Randy Giron, and Stephen Wyand.
Whew. Man, that was a long intro, guys. Holy fuck, man. Steven, what were you doing? Were you listening to Metallica?
Yeah.
Would only figure a Metallica fan would come up with an 8-minute long intro. Then again,
maybe he joined Mastodon.
Could be. Depending on the album. But
True.
let's not get into that discussion because we got to do the intro, and that is we are live right now, folks. YouTube. You can find us there. It is our Nation Sports Show. What's going on? I'm Ezra Vickery here with my usual crew, and we'll introduce everybody in just a second. As usual, the ways you can follow us. You can follow us on Twitter at ON_sports show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and Instagram.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Follow us on all of our social medias and share. Also, the YouTube channel as well, youtube.com. Search Our Nation Sports Show. Find us there. Steven, where are we at on subscribers, my friend?
We are at 90.
We're 90, guys. We're almost at that 100 subscriber mark. We can get that custom URL. As I always say, it makes it easier for you guys to find us, and it makes it easier for us to share content with you. So please keep sharing, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, so we can get to that 100 subscriber mark. And of course, you can follow everybody on our individual socials, which I will talk about later at the end of the show. But let's get to it. We got to introduce our crew. And let's start off with our good buddy here, our favorite Oakland Raiders fan. That's not John Gruden. Randy Giron, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? How's everybody tonight? Just wanted to give a shout out to everybody out there watching, and our buddy Greg Brown's supposed to be watching from work. We'll see if he's watching, but if so, what's up, Greg? But it should be a good show tonight, and we can all get mad and yell at the referees. I mean, talk about football. I mean, hopefully we'll have a good show.
Oh, I'm sure of it, especially when we're talking about the referee situation at the Super Bowl. I'm 1,000% there's going to be several people here that are going to unleash on these motherfuckers. But we'll talk about that shortly. Let's get to our other crew here. Let's get to our buddy here, right over here with the San Francisco 49ers background here, the possibly future Super Bowl champions. Who knows? That's what the off season is for. We'll find that out soon. That is our buddy here, Kevin Rorie. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing good out there. And all I got to say is what a great Super Bowl, what a great halftime show. And one thing's for sure, and that's next season, I'm going to put my application in to be a damn referee because somebody got to teach these clowns something.
I can't wait for that discussion. Oh, man. And then we got our buddy here who it looks like he's trapped in the closet more than R. Kelly is. Let's go to our buddy here, JT, not Justin Timberlake, Joseph Thornton. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. And Ezra, for that comment, fuck you.
You're very welcome, sir. No, I'm kidding. I mean, look at my background. My background ain't any better. I'm right next to the closet with a pack. But I digress.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the Super Bowl. I sure as hell did. And about the referees, they just need to start all the way over from day one because they don't know how to officiate to save their fucking lives.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're gonna get deep into that conversation probably as soon as I get done with these intros. But of course, the final guy we got to introduce is the matriarch of the show. Without him, our Nation Sports Show would not be possible, and that is my heavy metal brother from North Kakalaki, who maybe we'll be seeing Seven Dust together in May. We'll see what happens. But he, like I said, matriarch of the show, great guy, and of course he is the man who creates intros longer than most bands' albums. That is Stephen Wyatt.
Yes, I'm the one that put together that intro because I was like, you know what? I wanted to do something special for today's show because we picked the Super Bowl a few weeks ago, talked about what both teams needed to do last week. And I said, you know what? Raw is on. I'm not paying attention somewhat. I want to put together an intro, and I did. I did my own version of Injustice for All. So, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, let's go. Talk some football.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just gonna say one more thing. That intro was more exhausting than Brock Lesnar after a 10-minute match. But
or Goldberg.
Anyways,
which reminds me real quick, we're gonna see both Brock Lesnar and Goldberg in action this Saturday at Elimination Chamber. Woo-hoo!
Oh yeah, it should be fun. Okay, moving forward.
Anyway, moving forward.
Absolutely moving forward on that because nobody really cares. But anyways, let's go straight. But before we get into the sports talk, we got to send a big happy birthday to our Nation Sports Show and the Nation's Corner's own Hijacker Mike. The man turns 45 years old today. Of course, you know him as a frequent contributor to our program, as well as Nation Night Fights, his own boxing show, which should be returning relatively soon, depending on his son's baseball schedule, as well as his own personal job outside of here. We wish Hijacker all the best and a big happy birthday from everybody here at our Nation Sports Show.
Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday, Hijacker.
Absolutely. That's our guy. Been on the ground floor since the beginning of the show, man, and we appreciate everything he's done for all the intros, music, and everything on every show that he's a part of. So thank you. Absolutely. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's get into the Super Bowl. And it was a pretty good game up until the refs pretty much fucked everything up. It was 23-20 final score. Finally, Matt Stafford gets the ring that he's been chasing for 12 long seasons, and he finally gets it. Cooper Kupp was named MVP, as well as being named the Offensive Player of the Year by the NFL as well. He is the player. I believe he's won the three main awards that a offensive player can win, and that is Super Bowl MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and then I forget the other one, but he won it quicker than Jerry Rice did. He won it in one season, where it took Jerry Rice's whole career to win it. Nobody has ever done that in their career. So
that's crazy.
Wasn't it leading? It was either leading the league in receiving or winning the receiving Triple Crown. I can't remember what it was.
So he was the Triple Crown winner of the year. So he led the league in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he wins the Offensive Player of the Year, like you just said, and the Super Bowl MVP, and he's the champion, obviously. So that's that's I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer right now, but that's Hall of Fame level numbers. I mean, it's incredible
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the way he was a contributor to their team in 2019 before he was injured, he was on his way to having a great year, and then he had the ACL injury. And if he would have played in that Super Bowl, he might have won that. He might have helped the Rams win that game and put up more points on the board. But Cooper Kupp is a huge difference. I mean, that guy. Sorry, Collinsworth. That guy. Yeah. Cooper Kupp, man, he's amazing. I mean, what more can we say? I mean, he was the great receiver this year, and rightly so. He was given all the accolades because he deserved it. I mean, in the playoffs this year, he was dominating. He dominated the Bucs, dominated the Cardinals. He made critical catches against the Niners when he needed to. He had a good game there. He had a good game in the Super Bowl, made some critical plays, and we're going to get into that. But hats off to Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford and the Rams getting the job done.
Absolutely. And like I said, he did it quicker than Jerry Rice did. Jerry Rice is really the only other player to achieve the Triple Crown, as well as overall offensive player of the year and Super Bowl MVP. And like I said, Cooper Kupp did it quicker. He did it in one regular season. It took Jerry Rice's whole career.
28 years old. It's incredible. He's got an entire career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get into the game, gents. Let's go ahead and get into the game. Let's talk about it. It was a pretty big back and forth action between these guys. Pretty big. You thought the Rams had it until Cincinnati stormed back. It was able to put some points on the board, but Indiana, unfortunately, due to some miscues by the refereeing team, which I'm going to go ahead and let you guys unleash on that. The Rams ended up winning the final score, like I said, 23-20. Quick stats before we get to your guys' individual thoughts on this. Matt Stafford, 26 for 40, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. Cooper Kupp had a great game, 8 receptions, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. OBJ, 2 catches for 52 yards. And then we go to Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, 23-33, 263 yards and a touchdown. And then Joe Mixon had 15 carries for 72 yards. T. Higgins had four catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. And then Jamar Chase, 5 receptions for 89 yards on 8 targets. So both teams putting up some big numbers in the reception core, but to me, the big difference, in my opinion, was the referee. It did help. There was some throughout the whole game. There was not many calls called, if any at all. It was very straightforward football game. And then in the fourth quarter, call, which ended up unfortunately giving the Rams the advantage and pushing them downfield to get into that game-winning touchdown that would seal it. So that's kind of my opinion on that. Quick little opinion on that. I didn't watch the game live. Unfortunately, I had to watch it the next morning because of work. But I did watch the whole game from start to finish. And I thought it was a really hotly contested game. I thought it was really good. Both teams came out there and gave it their all. Just like I said, some poor officiating kind of ruined the ending. And it ruined the ending of the game. But it didn't ruin the fact that, the Rams did it. They finally got a Super Bowl again. The city's going to celebrate. And, Matt Stafford finally gets that elusive ring after 12 seasons. And congrats to Matt Stafford, especially in, Matt Stafford won that basically because of the refs, but the man's fought hard. 12 seasons, 11 seasons of failure over in Detroit. He comes in there. He comes in there, helps change the Rams around after Phillip Rivers departs and retires. Comes in there, and especially after Jared Goff gets traded away, they change things around, and look where he is now. And also, it's big too because I heard a story about his wife, and I heard about how she had very severe brain surgery and had to learn how to rewalk and do things again after this past 2 years. So for her to see her husband win a Super Bowl trophy, her to be a part of it after she thought she may never be a part of it again, is something that that I in my heart of hearts is awesome. So congrats to Matt Stafford, congrats to the Rams. All right, guys, what are your thoughts? I'm going to start with let's go with Kevin on this one.
Yeah, I'm about to say we need to let Kevin start because he nailed the prediction right on the money about the referee. So Kevin, go ahead and start us off, man.
I figured it would happen, but first let me start with the Cincinnati Bengals. I just want to say I appreciate how they built their team. I appreciate what they got up and coming.
Absolutely.
And if anybody thinks that Cincinnati's not going to be in the same predicament a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, you're fucking stupid and don't know football, because this team is nothing but literally rookies except a couple of vets on defense. If this team gets there, and the one thing I said that would hurt them ended up biting them in the ass on fourth down. We're not even going to discuss the flags yet, but blocking Aaron Donald, I think on the intro or the prediction, I predicted Aaron Donald to have 3 sacks, and damn it, he had 2.5, including was going to be a 3.5 to end the game if Burrow didn't just chunk the ball out like he did. But essentially, it was a sack and ended the game. But the Bengals got that money. It's time for them to go get them some high-profile O-linemen to be able to block. And if they can do that, I think they can win them one. Next year, the year after, I really believe they can. And as far as the Rams is concerned, yeah, I'm still – I don't care. I've been the Skip Bayless on this show when it comes to Matt Stafford. I'm not sold on him. It must – he was put in the most luxurious situation by being a great system quarterback going into a good system. It must be nice, because is Matt Stafford going to Aaron Rodgers you? No. Is he going to Tom Brady? No. Is is he going to do that? No. But he knew his role. He learned his role. He knew the only thing he had to do, get the ball to fucking Cooper Kupp, and he did it. So, yeah, congratulations. I'm happy for him and his wife. I am going to say that. Congratulations on that. And in my eyes, you can't go wrong. Yeah, they gave it to Cooper Kupp, the Super Bowl MVP, because of game-winning touchdown. You could, I honestly can argue that. You could honestly give it to Aaron Donald because of his play in the last 2 drives of that game was absolutely outrageous. Like Aaron Donald he's playing like he deserves to be the only number 100 overall in Madden history is how he's playing. He's playing absolutely outside his mind. But as far now, let's get to this fuckery here. The referees, come on, dude. As a former athlete, as a coach's perspective, even as a fan's perspective, there's one thing about the refs that all of us want to do. Okay, you call flags, call it. Be consistent. And that's something about that game that absolutely was not consistent. Starting on that first red zone drive from the Cincinnati Bengals, where Jalen Ramsey got away with a clear hold, and okay, don't call the flag. Okay, I get that. Let him play. But late in that fourth quarter, same scenario, 3rd and long, on 3rd and goal from the 8-9 yard line, and the linebacker Logan Wilson barely put his hands on the receiver, and guess what? Flag. Come on, man. That's just complete bullshit. I mean, let him play. If you're gonna let him play, let him play. If not, you should have called the first one in the first fucking quarter. Same way. And do I think that third quarter, that first play in the third quarter? Yes, I think that was offensive pass interference for all the Rams fans and people who trying to defend the officiating. But there's so many blown calls and horrible calls in that fourth quarter. It was absolutely ridiculous. They missed that 3rd down. They called that holding call. Then they replayed it. And then I think it was the down before that. Clearly, the whole O-line jumped off sides because they all jumped before the center snapped the ball. Was it called? And fast forward it to that 4th and 1, as much as Aaron Donald dominated, if you slow that pitcher down, he was off sides. He was in the neutral zone. His hat was over the football, for Christ's sakes. That should have been called. That should have been 5 yards, Bengals first down in field goal range. But it wasn't. And that's where I have a problem. The refs just, they had their mind made up that I'm giving this to the Rams. We're gonna boost the Rams up in this. We're gonna give Matt Stafford and company 50 tries on 1st and goal to get in the end zone on a 1-yard touchdown pass. And I think it's fucking ridiculous. When the ref decides the outcome of a game, it's embarrassing. It's a disgrace. And it makes you just sick to your stomach to even watch the game. Like, let the players play. Just let them play, man. And another thing I also noticed that I wanted to note that I don't care what you say, Jalen Ramsey is not a lockdown corner. If Burrow has time and had time, Jamar Chase was eating him up all game. Like he was, every time I looked at it, Jamar Chase was behind the defense burning him. If they would have blocked Donald in that last play, that would have been a touchdown. Burrow could have chunked it deep and got him over the middle for a touchdown. But the offensive line is what they got to improve on. But I'm giving my kudos to both the Rams and the Bengals because the Bengals didn't pull the Los Angeles Rams. They didn't go out there and buy them a Super Bowl because that's essentially what the Rams did. Let's be honest. They bought them a Super Bowl by saying, you know what? Fuck our draft picks. We're going to stash up Von Miller, Odell Beckham. We're going to have Cooper Kupp have a great year. We're going to stash up Stafford. We're going to go out and get Eric Weddle off the fucking street. Okay, let's go make our team. And I'm like, man, listen.
So what you're saying, Kevin, is they have very much in common with the LA Lakers.
Exactly. And you know what? It's starting exactly what I'm saying, except they actually win. Let's just be honest about it. But the Rams, it's about to be a sad day in football because remember when the NBA went to this super team rule after LeBron went to Miami and everybody started doing it? I hope like hell the NFL does not do that and take notes from the Rams like, oh, let's go trade away our future first round picks for everybody and stack them up and let's go ring chase. It's a disgrace to the game, man. But I will say I'm glad that they are over in salary cap because that super team is most likely not going to be probably in year one of a rebuild this year because of the controversial rumors of Aaron Donald might retire. They're over salary cap space. Odell Beckham tore his ACL. He's out for essentially the whole year next year. And we don't know what's going to happen. They can't sign Von Miller back unless Von Miller takes a damn rookie pay cut and gets paid like a rookie. They can't sign Taylor Rapp back. They're going to be missing the tight end. Higbee, he's not going to be on the team no more. They're going to have to pay Akers. If not, Akers going after next year. And Stafford's in his mid-30s, so he's winding down. And you even have head coach Sean McVay go out there and publicly say he's not committed to be the head coach for the 2022 season. And that is concerning. If all those pieces happen like that, the Rams are going to be dead last in the division next year. But anyway, kudos to the Rams and more kudos to the Bengals because nobody expected them to be there, and it was a hard-fought game, and I got to give my props to Joe Burrow. He played with absolute heart.
I agree 1,000%. We can, I talked a lot about the Rams, but you can't forget about Cincinnati. Joe Burrow played a hell of a game. He did the best he could on his circumstances. He had, like you said, the O-line was suspect from the very beginning, and unfortunately, it came out in the Super Bowl. But you can't deny the heart of Joe Burrow and the company that he was around. They all played their asses off. They played a hell of a game. It just didn't work out in their favor. But you can't take nothing away from Cincinnati because they played like fucking hellions this season. And proved their worth. And they're going to be back, like you said, next year, the year after, they will be back in contention for a Super Bowl, if not in the Super Bowl, because that's how good they are. Randy.
Yeah, I thought it was a great game. I watched it pretty good. Paying attention to a lot of stuff, and I think both teams were playing great. I mean, it was what we thought too. Whoever's going to score last, of course, going to be close. But this whole postseason with the referees, man. It sucks to keep going back to that. My gosh.
Are you good?
The Bengals were the beneficiaries of some bad refereeing in their game that helped them. I'm not saying they helped them beat the Raiders. I'm not saying it because I'm a Raider fan, but I mean, those referees aren't even going to referee another game ever again. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, about the refereeing this whole playoffs. Then there was they tried to blame the referee. The Cowboys fans tried to blame the referees for the bad spots, just bad calls, and the bad thing about it was, I guess, it was such a great game, but at the end there, it just seemed almost blatant. They didn't even like try to hide the fact that they were maybe even trying to give them the chance to win. It was bad news. So, but hats off to the Rams. Cooper Kupp is just a great player. I remember seeing him play in college. He played at an FCS school, and he played against Youngstown State. And I remember watching him then. He was just amazing then. Um, so kudos to them. And Stafford, uh, he just the system quarterback, and he I guess he deserves it. Um, but Aaron Donald is just a great player, and um, once in a lifetime talent. And if he were to retire, definitely Hall of Fame career. And the Bengals are definitely going to be back. Like Kevin said, they're just a bunch of young guys. Uh, they built that team right. Young coach too. So they'll all grow together, and I think they'll definitely be in the mix in the next 5-6 years, even more maybe. So um, that's off to them, and it's just going to be probably one of the most interesting off seasons in NFL history. All the intrigue about the quarterbacks and whatnot, and just players and going who knows where, and it's just going to be great. So that's all I got, guys.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a good point. It is going to be. That's something we discussed actually a couple weeks ago. Is that how unpredictable this offseason is going to be with all the different things, like what Kevin just said with the with all the intrigue and the mystery surrounding what this LA Rams team is going to end up becoming once it's time for trade deadlines, salary cap, all that. When all that comes into play, it's going to be interesting to see how they fix and rebuild this team if they have to let go some of their key players. Steven, why don't you go ahead and go next?
This game was really good from start to finish, besides the referees, in the end, in the last 2 minutes of that game. But listen, and I'll start it out in the first quarter. So in the first quarter, when the Bengals had the ball and they're driving and they're on the Rams side of the field at midfield, why are you going for it on 4th and 1? That was a bad call, and just super aggressive. I get it. Zach Taylor said he wanted to be super aggressive in this game, but you can't be that aggressive starting out in the game, like that. That's a little risky. And then the Rams got the ball. They scored the touchdown on Stafford's pass to OBJ. I'm like, all right, you paid the price with that one. And then the Bengals, didn't get nothing going then. And then the Rams got the ball, or the Bengals kicked the field goal, and then it's 7-3. And then the Rams get their next possession. Then they go down the field once again, and Stafford with another touchdown, this time to Kupp. And just it looked like the Rams were going to be on their way, because I'm like, all right, the Bengals are slowly hanging in there still. And then they scored a touchdown. And man, that's another great thing about the Super Bowl that was also great, was the tricky plays with Joe Mixon out of the backfield, touchdown pass to T. Higgins. I mean, that was beautifully executed. Shocked all of us during the game. We're like, holy smokes. I mean, that was trickery at its best. And it was a nice trick play. It was executed with excellent execution. And they're back. I'm like, they're back in the game. And then the second half starts. And then the Bengals home run ball, 75-yard touchdown pass from Burrow to Higgins. And yeah, that should have been flagged for offensive pass interference. I mean, come on, it was obvious. I mean, give me a break. I mean, even a blind man saw that bullshit. And it was just back and forth, in that game. And then it looked like the Bengals were going to have, momentum, because they kicked the field goal and already scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. And this is where the Bengals really screwed up their opportunity to put the pressure on the Rams. You intercept Matthew Stafford, not once, but twice. And you don't capitalize on those turnovers, especially the second pick. I'm not going to kill Stafford even on the first pick, because it's essentially like a punt. It was essentially kind of like a punt, because he threw the ball deep. It was picked off. Oh, well, they're on their side of the field. So essentially it's like a touchback. Okay, whatever. But the second pick goes off the receiver's hands. You're already on the Rams side of the field, and you can't capitalize on that. That is bad execution. They could have gone up by 10 or 11 points on the Rams, and they didn't capitalize on that. And this is where the problems with the Bengals started to happen in the third quarter, because in the first half, the pocket was pretty clean. Yeah, there was a few pressure spots for Burrow in that first half, but there were no sacks, hardly at all, until Floyd got the first sack towards the end of the first half. But here's the problem in the third quarter. As the third quarter went on, the Rams defense started to figure out their schemes, led by Aaron Donald and Von Miller. And on that third and 2, Burrow drops back and he's immediately pressured, and Donald sacks it back to the 19, 20-yard line. I'm like, yep, you just screwed that drive up because you had an opportunity to put your foot on the throats of the Rams to get in the red zone inside the 5-yard line and score a touchdown to go up by 10 or 11, and you didn't get the job done. So kicking the field goal, that was a win-win situation for the Rams in that situation. And then really nothing went on. It was just stall drives after stall drives. And one thing about the Rams that drove me crazy in this game, if the run game ain't working, why in the hell are you still trying to run the ball? I get it. You don't want to look predictable throwing the ball. But Jesus, if you're running the ball and it's not working, quit running the ball, because you're not going to win the game trying to play balanced football if the run game isn't working. And not only that, but they were behind the 8 ball in that second half because they were trailing the rest of the way and up until the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. And so, just the fact that they kept running the ball, and Chris Collinsworth and Michaels were like, why are they still running the ball? They're not getting nothing done. Akers was not doing good at all. At one point, he had like 13 carries for like 11 yards. I'm like, that is terrible. And Matt Stafford had probably more yards up until that last fourth quarter drive, on that run to the 8-yard line. But the game kept going on, and then the fourth quarter comes, and Burrow and the Bengals had the ball, and they were driving, and then the offensive line, putrid as they are, kept getting Burrow sacked and not protecting him. He was hit and pressured throughout the entire third and fourth quarter. Listen to this stat. On 18 of his dropbacks, he was pressured or sacked. 42% of his dropbacks. Threw the ball 33 times. And he was pressured 42%. Almost 50% of his dropbacks he was pressured. Why? Because the offensive line, like we keep on preaching on this show, is not good. They drafted an offensive sensation in Jamar Chase with their first overall pick when they should have drafted an offensive lineman. I get it. You wanted to get Burrow's, excellent college teammate at LSU when he won the national championship in college football a couple years ago. I get that. But here is the lesson that the Bengals are going to have to painfully learn. Is you got to get an offensive line, because in the regular season this year, Burrow was sacked 70 times, led the league in NFL sacks for quarterbacks this year on his back. And it proved in the Super Bowl. Yeah, they got lucky against Tennessee a few weeks ago when they sacked him 9 times and hit him, 11, 12 additional times. In the Super Bowl, sacked 7 times in the game. Not surprised, because even when Stafford threw the second pick, I said it on the show last week, if Stafford makes an interception error, he has a defense that can bail him out, because that defense is really good. And in that fourth quarter, the game started to flip, because that's when the Rams went on their final drive in that fourth quarter. And the most critical play, before I get to that drive, another critical thing about that fourth quarter drive for the Bengals that was so critical, Tyler Boyd did not have a single drop all season long. And he could have had that first down reception, and he didn't drop the damn ball. Run some more clock. Because if he catches that, gets the first down, the Bengals can continue to milk the clock. And Joe Mixon, mind you, like you said, Ezra, with his stats, had a better rushing game than Akers did the entire game. So they could have kept running the ball. You can get in quick slants and out patterns, a little short curls for first downs to keep the ball moving and maybe kick a field goal. And then you really push the Rams' chances at scoring a touchdown even further and harder, because they got to score a touchdown to tie the game at that point. But when they dropped that ball and headed the punt, I said, well, there goes that momentum swing. And then the Rams get the ball on their fourth quarter final drive, and the most critical play of that fourth quarter drive by the Rams was the 4th and 1 from their 30-yard line. The jet sweep by Kupp for the first down. If he doesn't get that first down, the game is over. And then Stafford had that 22-yard pass to Kupp. They're in business. And then, oh boy, the officials had to put their stamp on the game. You mean to tell me for 58 minutes and change there was no flags, with the exception of a couple, because there was Kevin talked about this in the group chat on Facebook. Oh, the Rams got flagged for delay a game penalty for once. Yeah, when it should have been called for that against the Niners a few weeks ago. And then you had the missed call on Ramsey, in the end zone on Chase and all that. And then you had the missed offensive pass interference on Higgins on Ramsey, which was bullshit. And then the fourth quarter, the referee said, oh, we're going to really make it interesting now on our sake because we're going to put our stamp on this game. There was at least 3 to 5 flags in a row on that drive, basically, at one point. You had the offsetting penalty, holding and passing, whatever the hell, that offsetted. You had the pass interference because you guys hit it on the money on that Rams fourth quarter drive when it was 3rd and 7. And we were watching the game on Zoom for the Super Bowl, and everybody was like, hey, what if they let them, because they kept letting them play. It was 3rd and 7. If the pass is incomplete, 4th and 7, let's find out, can Stafford get the scoring touchdown? No, we're going to call pass interference first down. That right there swinged the momentum on the Rams side. And a couple plays later, Stafford to Kupp, touchdown, what happens. And then they take the lead, and then the Bengals had that final drive. And this is my problem with the Bengals on this final drive. Yeah, they got that pass completion to Chase for 17 yards. And then 2nd and 1, stuffed on the run. 3rd and 1, stuffed again on the run. 2nd and 1. They had the first down. And then Burrow had that pass. I didn't like that. Going deep, that was a little too, I didn't care for that. Just throw a quick pass and get a first down. That was just trying to get too cute, when he should have been playing fundamental football. Because McPherson was 14 of 14 in the postseason kicking field goals. You have a field goal kicker that can get you tied because he was that good. And then the 2nd and 1 run didn't go nowhere. 3rd and 1 run didn't go nowhere. And Aaron Donald, like a madman possessed, in the backfield like Kevin on Madden 12 10 years ago, lines the defensive lineman in the backfield and says, get the hell out of my way. Doink, sack, knock the game out of there. It was over. Aaron Donald played his ass off in this game. And you know what, Kevin? In my opinion, he should have been given the MVP because he had some critical plays on that fourth quarter drives for the Rams defense. He was not wanting to lose a second straight Super Bowl because in that game against the Patriots 3 years ago, that Rams defense was not even good against Brady and the Patriots. And he was determined. He was determined to win a Super Bowl for that team. And I got to give Donald a lot of credit because all of the emotions came out of him in that fourth quarter interview. He was so happy. All of the pain that he had to go through in that Super Bowl and the trials and tribulations of that team, and all that, and just, that fourth quarter was just crazy, because if the Bengals would have converted that first down and got in the field goal range, who knows what the hell would have happened? Because at that point, the Bengals are in field goal range. And if they get an incomplete pass if they get stuffed on 2 or 3 incomplete passes, it's 4th down. Game is going to be tied because of McPherson. Who knows if the Bengals would have played smart football, in that last drive, we might be having a tie game going to overtime again. My hat's off, to Aaron Donald and Von Miller and that defense and Matthew Stafford. I mean, look, I understand, Kevin, you're the Skip Bayless of this show, how you're not giving him a lot of credit, as far as, the way he got to the Rams. But I'm going to give him a lot of credit because, and honestly, if I was a veteran quarterback that had talent and I had a great receiver in those years like Calvin Johnson, and I see that a team like the Rams has all these pieces, Robert Wood, Cooper Kupp, and then, and Higbee at tight end, and all of these guys. If I'm Stafford and I'm looking at, what's available, hey, trade me. I want to have a chance to get a championship because I know that my chances of getting a championship are slimmer than none. I'm not going to be in this league forever because my days in the NFL are numbered because he's 34 years of age. And, I got to give him a lot of credit, for coming to the Rams. He had a great year, 41 touchdowns, 17 picks, led the league in interceptions. But the guy had a monster year, over 4,800 yards passing in the season. He was great. And listen, we have been critical of Stafford and the Rams all postseason long because during the regular season, they had a stretch in that season of this year where they were really up and down. Stafford interceptions when they shouldn't have been happening because he had a clean, first half of the season. And then the second half, he was up and down. And then in the postseason, when it mattered the most, Stafford in every single game, when the pressure was on his back, he got it done. You know why? Because he has a guy that he can trust in Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp, the best receiver this year, Triple Crown winner, led the league in receiving yards, touchdowns, and receptions. Man, offensive player of the year. Great players do great things. They get the job done. Look, listen, Odell Beckham Jr. had a great year with the Rams, and I felt bad for him in the Super Bowl because he was on his way to possibly, the Rams obviously ended up winning that game, but let's just say hypothetically, if OBJ plays the rest of that Super Bowl, he could have had over 100 yards receiving because that last catch he caught for 35 yards, I'm like, damn, he is getting open. And even when he's not open, he's covered. Stafford is finding these windows to throw these passes to Beckham, and just, my God, and he got the job done after all those years in Detroit, took him to the playoffs 3 times, no wins. He goes to the Rams in his first year and goes on the road after beating Arizona and said, they hosted the NFC Championship game. They hosted the Cardinals. They went into Tampa Bay. And, especially the Tampa Bay game. The Tampa Bay game was wild because if any game they should have lost that game because they were up 27-3 and Stafford and them almost blew the game, when they somehow still got that done because of Cooper Kupp, obviously. But hats off to the Rams getting the job done in the first year because let's be honest, fellas, we've been talking about this. If they would have lost that Super Bowl to a young, hungry Bengals team, the team would have blown up right then and there. Failure, but they got the job done. They hosted 2 out of the 3 playoff games. Technically 3 out of the 4, but I don't know why the hell the Bengals were designated as the home team in the Super Bowl. That boggles my mind because it was at the Rams stadium. So 3 out of the 4 games were in their stadium and they got those 3 quote unquote home wins, especially the Super Bowl game because it was in their stadium for Christ's sakes, but they got the job done. Hats off to them. Great Super Bowl. It was a good game and it was definitely better than last year's game, which was his next best.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. Pretty much this game, the win after the refs gave away that touchdown, the ending of that game was pretty much all but confirmed, unlike Aaron Rodgers' vaccination status.
Yeah, and that's another thing too about this game. When Beckham went down, they had nobody on that offense to hardly throw to because I'm like, they're going to lose this game because there's hardly any weapons for him to throw to because of their injuries. But Stafford finds a way to get it done. So yeah,
absolutely. Joe.
Oh, well, honestly, can't get much better than Stevens and Kevin's analysis of the game because both you guys hit the nail on the coffin 1,000 times, actually infinity times over when it comes to talking about that game. There's not really much I can say. I give my kudos to the Rams for playing a great game. I give my kudos to the Bengals for coming out and playing like monsters whenever they needed to. And there's not really much I can say regarding the game itself, but I will say there was a couple highlights on the game that really stood out to me. The first one was that unbelievable catch by Jamar Chase in the first quarter that went for 46 yards.
Oh yeah.
I literally was watching that pass go up towards Chase, and I was like, I wonder if Chase is going to do anything to make this so extraordinary. And turns out He did. I mean, he pretty much leaned out like an outfielder in baseball and made that catch. And I was just like, whoa, what a grab by Chase.
Initially one-handed. It was
Yeah,
incredible.
and then initially one-handed, exactly. I mean, that was literally, I think, the best play of that whole game right there. And it was only in the first quarter. And not to mention the trickery that the Bengals ran to get that touchdown with Joe Mixon tossing that pass to T. Higgins in the end zone. I literally saw that play happen right in front of my eyes, and I was like, whoa, the Bengals are pulling a little trickery here. And I got to say, though, as far as the Rams' sake, I mean, it was a great game by the Rams. They made the plays where they needed to. And I'm with you guys saying that Aaron Donald should have gotten the MVP of the game. Honestly, I wish it would have been co-MVPs because honestly, the
Good
NFL
point.
has done the NFL has done that before. They've
Yep.
actually given co-MVPs to two separate players in the Super Bowl game like that. I can't remember the last time that actually happened, but
I want to say it was either Super Bowl. I have to look it up.
yeah, I'll have to look it up. But both Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald went out and played the games of their lives, especially Aaron Donald making those key fourth quarter stops. I mean, I kind of hate to say that Donald was a man possessed, but he was a man possessed in that moment because he was going out even before the game even started. Heck, even after the Rams beat the Niners in the NFC Championship game, he was going all around the locker room saying, all right, guys, I need y'all to listen to me. I need y'all to listen to me good. This game, the Super Bowl game, is going to be in our stadium. We may never get this chance again. So we need to go out and give it everything we fucking got if we want to walk out of this game as not only the winners, but as the Super Bowl champions.
And not only that, Joey, but also when the Rams beat the Niners in the NFC Championship game, Cooper Kupp was interviewed on Westwood One radio after the game, and Laura Oakman was asking Cooper, "Why aren't you smiling?" And he said, "Look, listen, we still got a job to do. They were laser focused because when he went down a couple years ago, he could have been the critical piece that could have won him a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Because and that's the thing about this game that was so intriguing is the fact that the healthy pieces for the most part were there, with Kupp and Stafford, but OBJ going down with the ACL injury, but man, if OBJ would have been healthy, who knows what the score would have been then? And if Robert Woods would have not went down early on in the season with the ACL injury, who knows what that would have been? Because when they were healthy, they were red hot on offense, But the Bengals, man, and I said it last week, they have nothing to lose, and they'll be back next year.
Oh they definitely have nothing to lose in this game. And one thing I want to bring up about the Bengals real quick is what we pretty much talked about going into last week, and that is the fact that Joe Burrow went out and played the best game that he possibly could ever play against a really tough and stingy Rams defense like that. But you guys mentioned it earlier, and I'm going to mention it once again here. That offensive line by the Bengals is what I believe cost Joe Burrow from making the amazing plays that he was wanting to make. I mean, take the very last play of the game by the Bengals, for example. It was a 4th and 1. The Bengals were, I would say close to field goal range.
They were about 7 to 8 yards away from field goal range. Yep.
Yeah, they were close to field goal range after the 17-yard pass and catch by Chase for the first down, and then the 9-yard strike that he threw to Higgins to make it 2nd and 1 from almost midfield.
That's the reason why I didn't like that 2nd and 1 deep pass, because it was too much. I'm like, guys.
It was way too much. And Aaron Donald stuffing Samaje Perine on that 3rd and 1 run play. mean,
and then going all Madden in the 4th and 1.
yeah, literally going all Madden on the 4th down play. But let me bring up that 4th down play just real quick. And I mean, I didn't really see it happen, of course, during the game itself, but all over social media, I was seeing pictures of Jamar Chase once again burning Jalen Ramsey down the field. And like Kevin mentioned, if Burrow would have had just a few more seconds to throw that ball, if he would have gotten that protection from the Bengals offensive line that he desperately needed so bad, then I guarantee you Joe Burrow would have lofted that pass down the sideline to Jamar Chase, and he would have taken it in stride and gotten another touchdown, which would have pretty much sealed the game for Cincinnati. I mean, that offensive line just really needs help. And Stephen, like you mentioned in your analysis, yeah, I see why the Bengals wanted to draft a playmaker like Jamar Chase with the first round. I mean, with their first pick in the draft this past year. But like you mentioned, Steven, the Bengals really wasted their pick there. Yes, I understand that Joe Burrow wanted his hotshot college receiver there with him to catch passes from, just like he did in college. But the Bengals front office, Zach Taylor, and pretty much everybody involved in that Cincinnati organization, they knew that they had to draft an offensive lineman because they literally could have been one, maybe two offensive linemen away from not having Joe Burrow get sacked 70 times in the regular season, 9 times against Tennessee, 7 times in the Super Bowl. They literally could have had one or two offensive linemen to pretty much protect Joe Burrow like they did in most
Now
of the game.
I see where y'all are coming from, but in my eyes, it was a pick your poison kind of thing. I truly believe if they don't draft Jamar Chase, I don't even think they make the playoffs. Jamar Chase broke every Randy Moss rookie record there
That's
was.
a good point, Kevin.
And
Yeah, that is a
besides,
great point.
I mean, if you go 5th overall, it's so hard to find a generational receiver talent in the NFL in the draft, and it's so much easier to find a lineman coming out of free agency. Plus, the Bengals, in my eyes, they overachieved. They didn't expect that first year. They had the mindset like I had. Okay, get Jamar Chase while he's available, get the best available. And then in the offseason, work on your line. Because worst case, okay, say you don't take Jamar Chase and you take an O lineman. That's only one O lineman. What are you going to do about your left guard, center, right guard, or right tackle? They're all going to suck.
Yeah, you got
One left tackle ain't going to make a difference. Then you're out of a playmaker. So the way they're thinking is let's draft our playmaker, let's get it set up. And they didn't expect to go to the playoffs. They didn't even expect to get past Tennessee. And they just go on about their business. And, oh, wow, they overachieved the Cinderella team. Now, next year, they're going to worry about nothing but the offseason. They're going to worry strictly about getting them a left tackle, getting them a center. I mean, I was looking online. There's so many free agent linemen available that are like Pro Bowlers. Tampa Bay center and left guard were both Pro Bowlers. They're on the market. Left tackle, Teron Armstead from New Orleans, Pro Bowler, on the market. If they can snag 2 out of them, 3, and upgrade the right side at least a little, they're going to be dominant. And
exactly.
I agree with the fact that Cincinnati did that.
Exactly. And see, and that's also the point I was trying to make, because I've also did my research and I've seen that there's a bunch of left tackles on the market. So yeah, I respect Cincinnati for drafting Jamar Chase because I mean Jamar Chase is a one-of-a-kind playmaker. He's one of a kind. I mean, you can't ask for a better receiver than him, except for maybe Cooper Kupp, but I digress. But yeah. With the salary cap that the Bengals have now, they'll be able to go out and pretty much get 1, 2, possibly 3 offensive linemen that they can use to help boost their offensive struggles. And like you mentioned, Kevin, The Bengals could find themselves in this exact same position next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. But I'm going to end my analysis with this one quote or with this one statement. If Cincinnati does not use their salary cap wisely and goes out and gets a handful of decent offensive linemen, 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4, if they don't go out and get those offensive linemen that they need, it could be a short career for Joe Burrow because keep in mind, guys, last year in Joe Burrow's rookie season, the Bengals went into a game in Washington against Washington, and Joe Burrow had to leave that game because the bad offensive lineman that they had in that time caused Burrow to get sacked in that game and him leave and be out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL and MCL.
Yep.
I agree.
Yes,
And
I'm
not
going to tell. Yes, I'm going to tell you guys right then and there. If Cincinnati does not go out and get the offensive lineman that they need, it's going to be a short career for Joe Burrow, and I for one do not want to see that happen.
agree.
Even though he torched Alabama when he was at LSU, but he's a pro. Yeah, but he's a pro football player now. So I give him. I got to give Burrow the respect that he deserves, but I do not want to see Burrow wind up playing a short career just because a few mediocre offensive linemen don't know how to provide protection for their quarterback.
Because if he has protection, if he had better protection this year, they could have easily won that Super Bowl. Because he has no weapons to get the job done. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. All of these guys on the offensive side of the ball are excellent players. And the inconsistency with the offensive line really cost him the Super Bowl. And, oh, by the way, guys, I looked it up. Super Bowl 12 was the first and only time co-MVPs in the Super Bowl, Dallas Cowboys against the Broncos, when Harvey Martin and Randy White were the co-MVPs for Dallas. 27-10 victory by Dallas in that Super Bowl. But the Bengals, man, the question that I posed, and obviously it's the easiest answer, what is next for Cincinnati? Who can they get, obviously, besides offensive linemen and defensive linemen, in the offseason? Because there's a lot of good pieces out there on the free agent market that is going to be hitting in the next few weeks.
And I tell you what, Steven, if I'm Cincinnati, I don't address my front seven. My front seven's probably one of the best. Front seven's
excellent.
I would address a corner because Eli Apple, he is not it. He ain't it. I'm sorry.
No.
I like Von Bell at safety. Jesse Bates is probably going to get the franchise tag and get big money.
Yep.
You're probably going to have to look and re-sign and Mixon because he's about done with his rookie contract. So you might want to re-sign Mixon and get them people paid. Get them two ballers paid because they deserve their money. Now, corners, the market's pretty high in corners. If they can snag a likes of a Stephon Gilmore off of a cheap deal, prove it deal. Okay, go for it. Sign him a 1-year deal. You ain't got to pay Chase his money for 3-4 more years. So sign Gilmore to 2 years, even if you got to pay out big money. Okay, you got you a lockdown corner, something like that. Do what you got to do to address the corners and the O line, and maybe get you a backup running back that's going to give Mixon a break.
Exactly. And 2 things real quick. First thing, like you mentioned, Steven, about that Tyler Boyd drop. What is the one thing that we have talked about on this show that kills a wide receiver's momentum? It's the fact that wide receivers worry about the distance before they worry about the catch. And that is what happened in that case. Because if you looked, if you looked really close at Tyler Boyd's face, right before the ball even hit his hands, he was already looking the other way, saying, okay, I'm going to catch this ball and I'm going to get this first down. But then, doink, the ball bounces off his hands.
I'm going to compare that drop by Boyd to Wes Welker in the Super Bowl against the Giants. Because Welker was a receiver that had excellent hands for the Patriots. The Patriots were leading in that game. And that drop on the Giants' 19-yard line was a critical drop critical drop because Welker had excellent hands all year, did not have a hardly single drop. And then in the biggest game of that year, he dropped the ball. And Tyler Boyd did not have a single drop all year long for Cincinnati. And he drops the ball in the biggest moment of the game that could have swung the momentum in the Bengals' favor. And also, fun fact too, the score of that game was 20-16, the same score of the Niners Bengals Super Bowl 23.
Yeah.
Final score for that game. So how fun would that have been if the Bengals would have held on to win the game 20-16? Same score as that Super Bowl back in 1988.
Exactly. And my last thought, and this is actually going to be a pretty big, this could actually wind up being a pretty big topic for discussion. What is next for Aaron Donald? Because reports started circulating around that if Aaron Donald won the Super Bowl, he would possibly consider retirement. So my question to y'all is Aaron Donald going to call it a career now that he's on top?
I think you got to look at it like this, whether he does or not. Right now, and he's only been in the league for 8 years, but he's done built up one of the best Hall of Fame resumes in NFL history. He might go down as the best LT defensive player in the NFL history because of how good he is. The guy has missed 2 games his whole career. Neither one of them were injury related. Mm-hmm. He's been defensive player of the year multiple times, all pro several times, Super Bowl champion. What I thought he should have been Super Bowl MVP. And he's automatically first ballot because you look at the D ends and D tackles of the game. I don't think there's a D tackle in the game in the history of the game that's as dominant as Aaron Donald is around that line of scrimmage.
No.
Kevin, hot take. Aaron Donald is the best all-around defensive player since LT.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
No questions asked. The best.
I mean, at this point, I could possibly say that Aaron Donald is probably better all-around defensive player than Ray Lewis ever was, and that's really saying something.
I'm gonna say about Aaron Donald. Yes, everybody with their Stafford stories and thinks he deserves the rank. Aaron Donald deserves it more. He stayed put. He stayed on a Rams team that was horrible at times. He stayed before McVay got there, and McVay was learning himself. He stayed through the trials and tribulations, and he fought through. He stayed loyal. That's hard to find in any sport in pro sports these days. Is just loyalty. And Aaron Donald has been through it. He's stuck there. He deserves it.
He's lost a Super Bowl, and he was determined, I'm not going to lose this second Super Bowl, come hell or high water. I want this game bad for our team because he knows what he's been through in his career. He knows what this team has been through in the last 4 or 5 years. The times that they could have been something special with Goff at quarterback and their defense, because the Rams were looking really good when they went to the Super Bowl that year. But in that game, this is why you trade for a guy like Stafford and get the pieces on defense that they did with Von Miller and stuff like that. Because in that Super Bowl, remember, fellas, Jared Goff looked like a deer in the freaking headlights in that game. He didn't know what the hell hit him in that game because he looked so scared of the moment that he was missing passes that he wouldn't have missed all year long. And Matt Stafford was not like that. Even when he threw 2 picks, he was not fazed by the pressure of that fourth quarter drive. And Aaron Donald in that defensive front and that back four, the entire defense was so laser sharp focused in that game. They were so determined. And that's why Aaron Donald is the leader upon leaders on that Rams defense, because he told his guys, hey, we've been in this moment. We've been in this game, losing a Super Bowl. We're not going down losing this game because we have the momentum on our side because of our defense, and there's a weak offensive line, in the Bengals. And I'm telling you, if Aaron Donald decides to announce his retirement, why the hell not? Because Aaron Donald has had a great career in 8 years, and he's put up Hall of Fame numbers. And if he wants to go out like a champion on top retirement, hey, well, power to him because he deserves it.
Well, what I was thinking, guys, is that the one good thing that Cincinnati has done is made it to where it's actually a good free agent destination, as opposed to the past where you wouldn't want to go play.
Good point.
You wouldn't want to go play in Cincinnati. Now it's like I want to be a part of something pretty big here that they're building.
I mean, everybody's young on that team. Basically, help the coach is young. I mean, he's a young, scrapping coach, and Burrow's only 25 years old. This dude, if they can get, and we keep stressing this, and we're going to keep saying until they get the job done. If Joe Burrow wants to have a long NFL career, they got to get started on the offensive line. They got to, because Jay Cutler didn't last long in the NFL because of, wait for it, he got sacked multiple times, hit multiple times when he was on the Bears, when he was on the Broncos, when he was with the Dolphins. I mean, if you're gonna go ahead.
And how many young quarterbacks have had their careers cut short because the ownership does not know how to build an offensive line around their quarterback? How many? I can tell you.
Yep,
I can tell you a lot.
Yep.
A lot of them. I mean, Andrew Luck, Robert Griffin III.
Mm-hmm.
Now Joe Burrow. I mean, you got all these young guys. Heck, even Daniel Jones, for crying out loud.
Sure.
You got all these hot shot, great young quarterbacks who are destined to have an absolute bright future. But if the coaches and the ownership don't give their hot shot young quarterback the protection that they need, I mean, that's just pretty much wasting your quarterback's time right then and there.
Because you can have a good arm and you can be a great quarterback, in the professional leagues, but if you don't have an offensive line to protect you, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. And it's case in point. It's case in point. I mean, the Bengals overachieved this year. Nobody expected this. We did not expect the Bengals to be in the Super Bowl because we all picked Kansas City to win the AFC Championship game because we figured with the medal that Kansas City has in the last 4 to 5 years, they've been in the Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl, lost a Super Bowl, been to multiple championship games. We figured that they were going to win that game. But the Bengals came out there and they did what they did because Joe Burrow, despite the offensive line, he got the job done. Then that was our worry in this game because the Rams defense was top 5 defense. And that's what was going to lose the Bengals that game was the offensive line. If that Rams defense could get pressure, and they did. When Joe Burrow.
Now, see,
go ahead.
The offensive line is the difference between you being an elite quarterback and you having your career run straight into the ground. I'm sorry, but there's one thing I can say about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady while they're 40 years old playing, because Robert Kraft and the Packers organization, they had prided themselves on surrounding their quarterback by offensive linemen, all pro linemen. The Patriots several times had 2 or 3 Pro Bowlers on their line. The Packers have 3 Pro Bowlers on their line currently with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen how pressure from a bad offensive line play has made one of the greatest, like we think, Patrick Mahomes look. Look what Cincinnati did to their O-line. Patrick Mahomes was running like a chicken with his head cut off. Imagine him getting that kind of O-line play every single week. We won't even look at Patrick Mahomes like he's good anymore. We look at him like, he's overrated. He's getting beat up. That's because of the offensive line play. And that's part of the reason why Daniel Jones gets shitted on so much. He ain't never got no offensive line to even try to have a career.
And that's why the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago to Tampa Bay, because when Eric Fisher goes down with the injury, said, well, there goes their chances, because Eric Fisher was the difference maker on that offensive line 3 seasons ago in the Super Bowl. Because nobody besides true football fans look at the entire package. Everybody looks at defensive players and offensive players as far as the quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, defensive backs, linebackers, defensive ends, etc., and the safeties and all that stuff. Nobody looks at the entire game. The offensive line and the defensive lines always get overlooked because they think, they're not going to affect the game. They affect the game because the offensive line are the one that protects the quarterback and keeps the quarterback upright. Because again, Joe Burrow, when the offensive line has been good, he's had 300, 400 plus yard games. But when the offensive line is not doing good, he's having 100 to 200 plus yard games and maybe a pick or two. Now,
Yeah.
fortunately for Burrow, he didn't throw a pick in the game. He threw the one touchdown, but the offensive line did not keep him upright. And he could have injured himself severely again in the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh, there's the knee again. But fortunately for him, it was the right knee. But still, a knee, getting hurt in that game, that hampered him a little bit. He's got to stay upright because the general managers and the people that run that Bengals team, they need to look at their entire team. They need to go back and watch the footage of the Super Bowl and look at what they were doing right when they were being protected with the offensive line on Burrow, and then look at that third and fourth quarter and see what they did wrong by not keeping him upright because their schemes weren't, proper and all that, and the protection wasn't understood because this offensive line is very young. Not saying they can't get better, but they got to start somewhere. Either get these new guys that's on the offensive line, train them better, show them this is what you need to be doing better, and protecting him this way in practices and scrimmages. Because if they keep the same offensive line core and nothing's changed, then what the hell are you doing here for? Because getting to the Super Bowl, you got here because you were hot. And that's the great thing about football is a lot of these Super Bowl teams that have been to the Super Bowl, a lot of them gotten hot. The Giants, the Bengals, the Seahawks, and all that stuff. Teams that have gotten hot at the right time, Atlanta, etc. They gotten hot because they had protection on the offensive line and the defense was playing good on those teams. The Bengals had great players on the offensive end, like Chase and Higgins and and Boyd, and again, Mixon and all those guys. And the defense is playing really good. But the offensive line continues to digress and not do good because they were declining in their play at a lot of the times in this playoff run. Because they should have lost to Tennessee, but they didn't. And they got to start somewhere this offseason.
Yeah,
exactly. And guys, I want to mention real quick that my wife needs me right now, so I'm gonna hop off here for a good little bit. If I happen to come back, it'll probably be towards the end of the show. But I gotta go tend to my wife right now. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna hop off here real quick.
Right, man.
Cool.
I'll try to be back towards the end of the show. All right.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, you guys are definitely dead on in those points. Definitely with Aaron, as far as the Aaron Donald goes, because I had to tend to something too real quick. Aaron Donald, to me, it doesn't matter whether he retires or doesn't, because with him, he really has nothing to lose. Really, the guy finally got the elusive Super Bowl ring that he wanted. He got it. Now, if he wants to retire and just be a family man, if that's what he's doing, or just live his retirement life, go ahead. Whatever his choice is, he's got nothing to lose. I mean, is it a big blow if they lose him? Yeah, absolutely. But they'll find somebody to fit his position. It don't matter. But definitely, Randy.
Yeah, no. What I was gonna say, the point I was gonna make was, as far as Aaron Donald retiring goes, I look at Howie Long. Howie Long was on top of his game and retired after winning that Super Bowl. And you wouldn't think Howie Long, the way he looks, could play today. He looks great, and that's because he was smart enough to figure out, hey, I did everything I needed to do. I made all the money I need to make. Now I'm going to do this, and unfortunately, like Luke Kuechly has to retire because CTE, and who knows? I hope he's I know he made the right choice from that, but
Right.
You hate to see that. But as far as Aaron Donald goes, I would if I was him, I would go ahead and call it a day. Enjoy the rest of your life, your quality of life at this point. I don't think he's really been injured that much, if at all. So if you don't like it in 2 years and he's still in good shape, he can come back. He's still young, So I see nothing but good things for either way. If he plays, he's just going to further his Hall of Fame career. If not, he's going to be able to enjoy his kids. That'd be good for him either way.
Yep. Yep, I agree with that. let's go ahead and let's quickly talk about the Super Bowl halftime show.
Oh yes.
It was a really very awesome show featuring some of hip hop and R&B's greatest, including Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and Mary J. Blige, with a special guest appearance by the one, the only 50 Cent.
The upside down 50 Cent.
Absolutely. Straight out of the In the Club video.
Straight
Yep.
up. The only thing missing that made me sad was Nate Dogg. If Nate
Yeah.
Dogg could have been in there, he could have said "hold up" at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. To me, being a guy who loves that old school hip hop and everything. To me, the only thing I love that they did still Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg did. But for me, I would have loved to hear them do Nothing But a G thing.
Yeah, that's what
Yes,
I was
I
thinking. Too. That would've been the
know.
best.
I would have loved to hear them do Nothing But a G thing.
That would have
I
been
think
amazing. Yeah.
badass. I would have loved. But Eminem, of course, to Lose Yourself, which is great for a Super Bowl crowd because it's a big ass sing along and it's awesome. And it's just an amazing, amazing song. And everybody pulled out their biggest hits. Mary J. Blige with Family Affair, In the Club with 50 Cent. You know, it was great. I mean, it wasn't for everybody, as most Super Bowl performances aren't. But
Right.
in this case, it was really, really good, and everybody involved did their part. You know, Eminem looked great. Everybody looked awesome, especially for Dr. Dre is 60 years old and still
Almost, yeah.
looks better than
Andy
most.
had that aneurysm the first of last
That's
year.
right.
Yeah,
Yup.
And was in the
That's right.
hospital.
And he looks
But
better.
you know what? As a huge Eminem fan and like that listens to this music, if you didn't expect him to play Lose Yourself at the Super Bowl, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. That
Yeah,
was
that
almost
was just fun,
inevitable. That was
Well,
going to be played.
it's also the most family friendly song he could play at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't see him performing Marshall Mathers or
I love that song.
I mean, he could perform Cleaning Out My Closet. That would be very interesting to viewers.
Hey, they can
Well,
say that about
everybody
most
knows
of the
his
Rams
net-
team in this offseason.
Yeah.
Someone said he should have performed Kill Shot there. Oh hell.
Oh boy. You know what?
Oh
We
boy.
don't need to bury MGK more than he's been already buried by not only Eminem but Corey Taylor as well.
Ah,
You know, I really enjoyed the halftime show. You know, it was a lot of fun. You know, Eminem could have done Till I Collapse because I love that song, and I love
That's a
that
little
song. But no, Lose Yourself made a lot of sense because it's very anthemic and it's very powerful. And listen, I love the way that started. The next episode in the California Love, yes, sir. That was awesome. You know, and changing the lyrics in there from 10 years to 30 years, changing it from 95 to 22. I'm like, damn, this is good. You know, and Dre was doing good. And here's what I got to give a lot of credit to with this show. These guys were not lip syncing. They were doing their parts. They were rapping. They were doing what they were supposed to do. And that's rap, you know, and Snoop was great. And Dre was great. Eminem was great, you know, and my God, that meme that you guys posted in the group chat, somebody said 50 looks like a whole dog because all the weight he gained. I'm like, hell yeah.
But you know what? It was good for 50 to
It was
appear.
good.
I enjoyed it. I'm glad he did. I was
know,
really
and it was
surprised and I
unexpected.
was happy.
I know a guy who's a professional wrestler, and a lot of people call 50 Cent fat. And from what he said on Facebook, this wrestler, his name is John Campbell, who is a guy who wrestled around my area for years.
Mhm.
Anyways, he said that the reason why 50 Cent looked the way he does is because he lifts heavy.
That's a good point because, I mean,
You lift
50,
heavy,
you know,
you
a
bulk
good
out
point.
more than you would be more slim fit. He's more bulked out than he is anything. Plus, you got to understand the dude's almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
Age is inevitable, and your body change is inevitable. So,
Yep.
50 Cent
Plus,
50
plus,
Cent
Ezra, if you're 50 years old, you're not gonna be doing no abs or no cardio, running on a damn treadmill. You're just gonna be lifting weights and making your arms big. So yeah, he's got a little extra weight on his gut and on his face, but you could tell he still work. He still bench presses. You could tell that his arms are big as a damn gorilla's. He is huge.
absolutely,
and,
man.
And I'm telling you, but 50 was great. I'm like, man, you know, this guy hasn't been really in the spotlight for probably a good 15 or so years. And man, what a way to make your presence felt again, because man, in 2003, he was huge with that Get Rich or Die Trying record, selling 1 million copies in almost 3 days. I'm like, that is incredible. I mean, just the stars were out on Super Bowl Sunday, and I never look forward to a halftime show like that hardly, but man, even though me and Ezra and Randy are rockers and all that stuff predominantly, but man, I'm an old school hip hop and rap fan, so I got to give mad props to the NFL for putting on a great halftime show with these guys. I mean, what more could you want? I mean, Snoop and Dre and Eminem and 50 on the same stage. I mean, come on. I mean, for the biggest rap names, legends in the game, and Kendrick Lamar's up there too. He's a youngster. He's been around for a decade or so. And I was like, damn, even he was doing good. And it was a lot of fun. It fit because the game was at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, and
he signed to Dr. Dre, ain't he?
You know what? I think he is.
Lamar, I think he is.
I think he is.
That's why they had him on there. Cause I was like, his rap style does not match the OGs that were on that set. And I'm like, there's got to be a reason.
No, because his is more about speed and everything than it is about flow.
Now his speed was terrific. I'm like, oh my goodness, like to be doing this live, because that's what had me concerned about this halftime show. Because everybody's like, oh, it's going to be the biggest halftime show ever. Yeah, you can say that, but is it going to be good? And it was good because every performer was live. And that is what has been missing in a lot of performances on national television, is that live factor. Yes, they were playing the backing tracks because you got to play the beat. But the fact that everybody was playing their parts and doing live material, that is what made that halftime show even better.
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar is on Interscope, which is a part of Aftermath.
Okay, so, that makes sense.
So yeah, but me being a massive Eminem fan since 2000, when I first got the Marshall Mathers LP, dude, to see him up there 22 years later, still kicking ass, being the best at what he does in the hip hop genre. I mean, it still proves that he's, and like I said, Dre is 60 years old, Snoop in his late 50s, early 60s, prove that the OGs can still get it done, even though Snoop was probably hit the J more times than anybody could count.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that Dre, has a hard time remembering lyrics, but I got to give dude a lot of credit, for being prepared, and remembering the lyrics and stuff like that. That's a lot of lyrics to remember, and man, he got the job done.
Absolutely, what a great halftime.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh no.
I was gonna say what a great halftime show it was. So now we start the petition for Metallica or AC/DC, right?
Yes. They still should have played the Super Bowl 6 years ago. I'm just saying it was in the Bay Area.
Well, fuck yeah, I agree with that shit.
Yeah.
Well, wait, Ezra, I got one for you. They could have played Kim by Eminem at the halftime show. I'm sure that would get a lot of people's attention. It might cancel the whole fucking Super Bowl.
Wait, they're playing this? Cut it. Wait a minute. Why is he playing Criminal? We're not talking. Why are you playing Criminal? This is a family-friendly Super Bowl. Why are you saying this stuff? As I'm Eminem.
Oh boy.
He could have played. Oh my goodness. He could have. There's so many songs Eminem could have played, but he didn't. Yeah. But we're just busting balls here. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I don't want to get too deep into rabbit hole because we still got. Well, first of all, before we begin, what a great season, guys, and great season, great, questionable ending, but whatever. Great games overall, all the
best season overall in quite some time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, the fans coming back this year. I mean, man, when Tampa Bay took the field against Dallas in that first Thursday night game, dude, it felt like we've been missing this for 2 years, because that's what the pandemic felt like 2 years ago. It felt like sports 2 years ago was such a weird dynamic, because the NBA playoffs, no crowd, the NFL regular season for the most part, with the exception of Dallas, Kansas City, and Jacksonville, and I think in another stadium or two, had fans, but up until the playoffs had a few thousands of fans or so. But this year, every team came to play, and every team for the most part, except, for Cleveland for the most part, or the Jets or the Jaguars. Carolina, every team this year felt so energized, because when the home crowd is making that much noise, they can determine a winner or a loser just as the players can.
Carolina, it's hard not to be energized when you have Scam Newton as your quarterback.
Yeah, because he's constantly scamming you out of money and shit. But anyways. But all seriousness, what a great year this year. I mean, the playoffs, the best playoff run that I can remember in quite some time as well, because all games, for the most part, were close.
Yep.
In fact, I think all the games, the exception of one, were close because the Rams beat the Cardinals 34-11. But other than that, it was a close playoff season. Buffalo. Oh, forgot about that one. Shows you how meaningful that game was. Buffalo and the Patriots, third game. 40, was that? 48.
And the
17?
Steelers game. The Chiefs beat the hell out of the Steelers.
I forgot about. See, that's
the
why
Steelers didn't belong in there.
No. That's why I'm acting like those two games didn't exist.
Good idea.
Other than that, I mean, for the exception of those two snooze fest of playoff games, I mean, it was a great playoff campaign. I mean, the Rams and the Bucks and the Rams and the Niners and the Super Bowl, and we can't forget about that clinic that Buffalo and Kansas City had a few weeks ago. I mean, my God.
Oh yeah.
Definitely, I agree with that. What a hell of a season. Just great football. And unfortunately, the season is over.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Without a doubt, yeah. That's how I felt when I tried to turn on NFL Red Zone on Sunday. Oh no,
this channel's not available in your area.
It's gone.
But fortunately for us football fans, the Packers did not win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Or the Cowgirls.
Or the Cowgirls. Yep.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers, if you're watching the show, I hope you're having a fun time sitting on your couch contemplating your eventual retirement. Then again, you're making about $150 million more than I am, so I can't say shit.
And don't forget, next season we got a new name for Joey's team, the Washington Commandos.
I command you to respect our team name.
I don't even call them the Commanders. I call them the Commandos.
Commandos.
Yeah, the Commandos.
We could call them Washington. We could call them we could call them the Washington Outlandos Stamore, which means Commandos of Love.
Nice.
You know what? Hey, check this out. I'm gonna leave y'all with a pretty funny statistic heading into next year. I seen the really early power rankings for the best chances to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You got the Chiefs, Bills, Niners, and the Rams rounding out your top five. But check this out. Detroit is actually ahead of the Carolina Panthers in that ranking.
Yes.
What? You know what? You need to just retire as an organization when you're the Carolina Panthers, and the Detroit Lions have a better chance in the odds of making the Super Bowl to bettors. Oh, get out of here.
Well, because let's be honest. I mean, the Detroit Lions players this past year, even though they sucked record-wise, they actually care for their coach in Campbell. Yeah. But the Panthers and Matt Rule, fool. They're a fool for keeping him, and
a damn fool.
Oh my goodness. I mean, just how can you keep a guy who's not a great coach? And Carolina's going to finish dead last this year in the NFC South.
That whole division is going to be horrible.
Oh my God. Breeze is not there no more, because obviously he retired. Thank God in heaven, Tom Brady has retired.
I'm actually glad the NFC West plays the NFC South this year. That should be 4 easy wins for us.
Matt Ryan's on his way out, and Cam Newton is still sucking.
He cares more about his wardrobe than his gameplay.
Yep.
Is that really shocking at all, though?
No.
To him, it is. To Panther fans, it is.
Oh my God. We didn't do good.
If the Panther fans, they think that's shocking. They need to go get a fucking head exam.
No, you remember when they made that hot take and everybody was saying, "Oh, DJ Moore is better than Deebo Samuel." Get the fuck out of here! Please. He's not even close to that level.
Nope.
Absolutely. All right, before we get into another crazy wormhole on this discussion and take the last 25 minutes on it, let's get into some NBA trade talk, man.
Oh boy.
It's been crazy, and let's start off with a couple of the trades since the last time we were on, because there were some trades that were made when we went off the air. Of course, there was a trade. The Kings. The Kings got Domantas Sabonis, Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, and a 2023 second-round pick for Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson. The other big trade involves Nickeil Alexander Walker from Portland, who got traded to the Jazz, along with Juancho Hernan-Gomez from San Antonio. Blazers got the currently injured Joe Ingles, who's out with the torn ACL, Elijah Hughes, and a second-round pick from Utah. And then Thomas Satoransky, Portland, and a second-round pick from Utah. But the biggest trades though, one of the biggest ones is the Raptors got Goran Dragic. In place, the Raptors got Thaddeus Young and Drew Eubanks in a 2022 second round pick. But we got to get to the big one, and one of the big ones, Serge Ibaka in a 4-team trade, man. Everything from players to cash considerations all involved in this trade. I'm not going to name all this shit off. Dennis Schroeder was traded to the Rockets in exchange for Daniel Theus. Or Dennis Schroeder was traded to the Rockets, yeah. But Kristaps Porzingis was traded from the Mavericks, and with the 2022 second round pick for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. And then of course the biggest trade of them all, James Harden and Paul Millsap go to the Philadelphia 76ers in exchange for 2 draft picks, one in 2022.
And the greatest point guard in the ball.
Hold on, I'm not there yet. Got to build suspense here, Steven. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. 2 picks, both in the first round in 2 separate years. Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, and as you said, the greatest point guard of all time, the man, the myth, the legend. So
and
great,
missing free
nobody
throws.
fucking wants his ass. Ben Simmons.
Yes, he is out of Philadelphia.
But he just helped the Knicks get suckier.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I've been one of the biggest clowns against Ben Simmons that I have on any athlete, but minus Ben Simmons, I honestly think the Nets got the best end of that trade. Just because, okay, James Harden didn't want to play in Brooklyn. He quit on Brooklyn like he quit the year before on Houston. What you think he's going to do to Embiid in Philly? He's going to quit again by the end of the year. He's a quitter. And then some people say, oh, well, Daryl Morey, he hasn't let Daryl Morey down. You want to bet Western Conference Finals, 0-27, he choked against Golden State.
And the Rockets in that game had, like you said, 27 consecutive missed threes.
So he has let him down. And I look at the Nets perspective, the guys that have been balling their ass off for the Nets they don't lose any pieces. Durant's still there. You got Patty Mills, who's probably been their second best player. Patty Mills, he's still there. You got LaMarcus Aldridge, who's been their third best player. He's still there. Half man, half game, half a season in Kyrie Irving. And you bring in another perimeter shooter in Seth Curry, who, he's been balling. He's been balling this season. So you get a perimeter shooter and something the Nets lacked over the last 2 years in a rim protector in Andre Drummond. So you got all that. And at the worst case, I will say this about Ben Simmons. If he plays, whatever he plays, the worst case is the guy has been a proven defender. They have a defender that is 6'9", who can take pressure off of Kevin Durant from playing defense. So I will say, if he halfway shows up and don't act like a complete ass clown, I think that's a good trade for the Nets. And I think he can at least provide some defense inside being 6'9". And so I think they win that deal.
Yeah, and I just thought about this, but Kevin Durant has played with Steph Curry and Steph Curry.
Yep.
So, so he's taking his pick of Curry's. I think he thought he was getting Steph Curry. He just heard everybody wrong.
Right. I mean,
Yeah. Wait, who's this guy?
He seen
he's not
S. Dot
here.
Curry number 30, and he said, "Trade."
Yeah, he thought he was happy.
Oh man, I got the wrong Curry. Shit.
Yeah.
When you order Steph Curry on Wish,
They said no take backs. They said no take backs.
"Oh,
No take backs. Sorry, but
that's not hating on Steph Curry.
Oh,
That's just
no,
talking
no,
about the
no,
greatness
no,
of
no.
Steph Curry.
But,
Because Steph
yeah,
Curry's a
but
pretty good player in his own.
Steph Curry's good.
yeah.
And that was a lot of fun this
Oh, yeah.
year, when Steph went at each other. I'm like, man, these boys are having a lot of fun, out there on the court, And speaking of the Warriors, oh boy, that game on Saturday between the Warriors and the Lakers was magnificent. And because
Lost again, which is even more magnificent.
Klay Thompson was crazy in that fourth quarter.
I guess it's safe to say that Klay Thompson is not no different Klay Thompson than he was pre-injury, because this guy got hot.
This guy.
Now here's a guy who can shoot the lights out when he gets hot. And boy, was he hot. 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. Steph Curry didn't have it going, but that's okay, because God darn it, Klay Thompson was stroking in the fourth quarter. Had
What I
16
loved
in the
about that?
fourth.
Is
What?
the times when the Warriors plays were not working as far as broken plays. Klay Thompson was there to save the day like Superman himself. Bang! 3-pointer after 3-pointer. 2 clutch threes in that fourth quarter to win the game for the Warriors.
I think it's funny because, to be honest, the Lakers played the best game they've probably played all year.
Yes,
and they played against
still
Golden
lost the
State
game
without Draymond Green and still lost. And I'm like, you know what? Westbrook had the best game he could have had all season. AD could have played better, but he got Tucker and Reeves, all those supporting players. They showed up and they played, and they still lost. Because
And LeBron did the best thing he could do.
LeBron James can't make a free throw.
LeBron did the best thing he does, and that's miss critical free throws when it matters the most.
And it was the first one, too. He didn't like he missed the third one. He missed the first one.
Yep.
Which I think that was a bogus call in the first place, because they had a foul they had the foul to put him on the line for 2, and he wasn't in the act of shooting, and Steph fouled him. He wasn't in the act of shooting. So I don't know why that was a shooting foul. That was beyond me. I said, these must be the Super Bowl referees. Holy shit.
Oh, God.
LeBron James and Aaron Donald got something in common. They got the refs on their
Or
side.
Jerome Boger must have called and said, hey, we're going to give LeBron these free throws. Give it to him now. Okay.
At least when Aaron Donald gets hit, he actually gets up and scrapes himself up, while LeBron later whines on why he didn't get a fucking foul.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, definitely that game. I watched some highlights of that game, and it was a hell of a game. I wanted to get real quick into the NBA All-Star selection day and officially announced their starters. And it's both rosters are pretty stacked for their starters, as usual. Team Durant starters. Let's start with that. We got, of course, Kevin Durant, who's the team captain, Joel Embiid, Jay Morant, Jason Tatum, Andrew Wiggins, and Trae Young. And then Team LeBron, LaFlop, Giannis, Steph Curry, DeMar DeRozan from the Bulls, and Nikola Jokic. Why is LeBron listed twice on here?
You know what I take from that starting lineup, though? I take that LeBron, for the last 3 years, LeBron wants to be on Steph Curry's team so bad. He drafts him every single All-Star game. I got Curry. I want Curry. I'm drafting Curry. I'm drafting Curry. I'm drafting Curry and Chris Paul. He wants so bad to play on the same team with Steph Curry or Chris Paul. It don't make no sense. He's got to draft him every All-Star game.
Can we just say that the NBA All-Star game, as long as Durant and LeBron are playing in the game, should be automatically be called Team LeBron, Team Durant. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, definitely. Quickly, Team Durant reserves: LaMelo Ball, Devin Booker, Rudy Gobert, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, DeJounte Murray, Carl Anthony Towns and Draymond Green.
Mm.
Hopefully, Draymond Green doesn't kick nobody in the cojones during this game.
It'd be funny if it was LeBron again.
Team LeBron reserves Jared Allen, who's replacing James Harden. Jimmy Butler.
What, he's playing football? Football to basketball? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jared Allen, not Jared Allen.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I got a joke, but I won't say it. Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, and Fred VanVleet. Not related, no relation to Chris VanVleet. But those are your all-star players and rosters right now going on. While we got a minute, let me go ahead and go through a quick little score update since we're got a little bit of time before the end of the show. Here we go. Let's start off with all the NBA scores right now. And trust me, there's a good amount of games going on. Cavaliers are leading the Hawks right now, or Hawks are leading the Cavaliers 66-61 at halftime. Heat are leading the Mavericks 59-51 at halftime. Celtics are leading the 76ers by 27 at halftime.
Oh, shit.
Bucks and Pacers are in a close one right now in the second, 39-33. T-Wolves are leading the Hornets 34-28, and the Pelicans are leading the Grizzlies are leading the Pelicans 43-31 in the second. And then the final game for tonight for the NBA is 10 p.m. Eastern, Clippers and the Suns.
That should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, so that's kind of your score update there. Well, for the NBA anyways. We also got some college games going on right now too. Got Texas Longhorns taking on the Sooners, 52-45 Texas over OU. Duke beating Wake Forest 69-63 right now in the second. Villanova and Providence in a 1-point differential. Villanova winning right now 26-25. Minnesota, Ohio State 5-2 in the first, very beginning. And then Penn State beat Michigan State today 62-58. Other games tonight include Indiana, Wisconsin, Wyoming, New Mexico, Arkansas, Missouri, and Kentucky and Tennessee. So and then NBA and then NHL real quick. Blues and Senators, Blues leading 3-2. Tampa Bay Lightning and the New Jersey Devils are tied 3-3 at the end of the second. Flyers are beating the Penguins 4-2 at the end of the second. Islanders losing to the Sabres 3-2. Bruins are leading the Rangers 1-0 in the third. And at the end of the first, Capitals are beating the Predators. And then all three more games tonight. 2 at 9 p.m. Eastern, Blue Jackets and the Flames, and Stars and the Avalanche. And then finally, 10:30 Eastern, Oilers and the Kings. Those games are going to be on ESPN+. Since we got a little time for the end of the show, we're going to take a little bit of a little left turn here, and we'll talk for a few seconds about, because I don't want to get too deep into a rabbit hole on this, because I want to save this for the Nation's Corner show. For when they do it, we don't want to repeat some of the things they say, and talk about the big news that dropped today, and that is that Cody and Brandy Rhodes are no longer a part of AEW.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that.
According to a couple of differentiating reports, is that they couldn't come to a deal, and that there was a slight falling out, nothing major, but a falling out as far as the deal goes between Tony and Cody. And at this point, it appears a possible WWE run. A return actually could be in the cards for the American Nightmare, but we'll see what happens. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to press the issue on it. I'm just going to say good luck to Cody, good luck to Brandy on whatever is next for them. Whatever it is, it'll be best for Brandy, for Cody, and for their daughter Liberty. So
yeah,
best of luck to
the
American Nightmare.
It's a crazy situation. I mean, he had some really good matches in AEW. I mean, his match with Dustin at Double or Nothing in 2019 at their first pay-per-view, his matches with MJF, his match with Jericho for the AEW World Title at Full Gear 2019. His feud with MJF, the stuff that he did with Darby was great. Stuff he did with Brody was awesome. Brody Lee, that is. His feud with Guevara on and off was great, but I really think the fans really started to get tired of Cody, at times, because especially during 2020, but mainly during 2021, because when Punk came in there, when Danielson came in there, they were the new hot thing that the fans were wanting to see on TV. Because when Danielson and Punk came to AEW last year, they brought AEW to that next level, and Danielson with all his great matches last year. And Cody, just like the fans were booing him, and he gave a great promo a month ago. And I'm like, all right, despite the fans booing him, he kind of won the fans a little over with that promo. But poor Brandy was not, putting herself in good spots even when she was on television. Because when she was out there in the ring with Dan Lambert, I mean, Lambert was getting cheered and she's getting booed. She's getting shut the F up chants, not once, but twice. And when she was getting told to shut the F up the first time, it flustered her. She was like, "Are you done?" Hell no, they're not done. I mean, you're telling a crowd. It was in Chicago, right? Yeah, I think it was in Chicago. But
I think it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was in Chicago. But anyways, you're telling a rabid fan base when they're not wanting to hear you on the microphone, because I think the fans they were just tired of him. Is it a huge loss to lose Cody? Absolutely, it's a huge loss to lose Cody Rhodes. I mean, the guy's a great wrestler, and he had a great run in AEW. And if he goes to the WWE, that's going to be interesting because remember when he left the WWE in 2016, he was not happy with the character that he was given, obviously, with Stardust that he had for a year or so, but he gave it his best. But I'm wondering if Cody comes back to the WWE, here's the big question. Does he bring Kingdom with him?
I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is a different situation with compared to what it was with Mickey. Mickey was able to do it because of a special appearance, because of something worked out between her and Impact. I mean, Cody owns Kingdom because that was written for him by Downstate. But I think that if he comes back, I think WWE is going to want him to bring back that version of Smoke and Mirrors he used on his last run. Yeah. I don't think we'll see Cody back with Kingdom anytime soon. Like I said, I just want to keep comments brief just because I want to end the show on time, and also I don't want to get too much into this because I want the Nation's Court to be able to really dive deep into it on Saturday. But Randy, your thoughts?
What I thought when I first heard that was I couldn't believe it, of course, but I don't think with him there was nothing else for him to do.
Good point.
In that short amount of time. I mean, he won the TNT title 3 times. I mean, he knew that he couldn't win the
world title because there was a stipulation that was in that match with Jericho. If he lost the world title match to Jericho, which he did because of MJF, he said it himself, "I will never challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship," and he never did.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Randy, because he did all that he could do. I mean, that's a good point.
He built the place. And for him to go back to WWE is like taking a shit and putting it back in your ass. I mean,
that's a great analogy.
I don't understand why he would do something like that. I would not do that.
Because
it's one thing. It's one thing, Randy, and it's money. It's nothing to do but money. Because
go ahead.
Probably what it boiled down to when it came down to the contract negotiations. This is all speculation, mind you. Nothing is confirmed. But I think it comes down to money. Maybe he wanted to get paid a little bit better. Maybe he wanted to get paid more than what maybe up to a level of a Punk, maybe to a level of a Sting. But he's not going to get that type of money out of Tony, even if he is an EVP, because he just doesn't. Not saying Cody doesn't have star power, he does, but not to the level of a CM Punk, to a Sting,
to Bryan Danielson.
to a Bryan Danielson, to an Adam Cole, even to a point to an Adam Cole, even.
Right. And the John Moxley, because when John Moxley came to AEW, to me, he was the face of AEW, when he first came in, because that pop that he got at Double or Nothing 3 years ago was massive. And he was the champion for such a long time, and he was a great world champion, and Moxley is just such a cool guy, and it's gonna be interesting. Go ahead, Randy.
It sucks in this. This is the only thing I'll say about this, and I know you don't want to get too much into it, but it sucks that the money took over for him, because he stuck it. He gave it back to WWE for all those years of, they made fun of his dad. I mean, they ran him down all the time, and for him to start AEW and to make it to where it was just making Dusty Rhodes' legacy even brighter, because they tried every way to undermine anything Dusty ever did. I mean, because that's a discussion for another day, of course, on another show. But like I said, I just don't know if I would go back there. There's plenty other places he could go.
He can go to the NWA, he can go to GCW if he wanted to, he can go to anywhere he wants to.
He said he wants to compete in a death match against Matt Tremont and look no further than GCW.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Yeah, he said that before. He said that in an interview, that right after Matt Tremont retired first time, before he came back just this past year, that he wanted to face one of the great death match legends in his style of match. He wanted to do one death match, kind of similar to kind of the Cardona thing.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So, they're buddies too. So I mean, why not go to the NWA and make it just?
Yeah, but personally, I really
done that too, though.
I really don't want to see Nick Aldis Cody 3. It's done.
Yeah, no, me neither. No,
it's done to death already. 2 matches is good enough. I mean, third would draw money and bring in tickets. I get that, but just from a personal fan perspective, I don't think it would be great.
Yeah,
but
there's nothing
to do. You never know. He could help maybe elevate Ring of Honor, his old company. Who knows?
Sure.
Yeah,
maybe a possibility, but we'll
New
see.
Japan in the United States and all that.
New Japan strong possibility.
Yep.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for today. Like you said, Joe unfortunately had to take off due to tending to his wife, which is all understandable. He's whipped. We're kidding, buddy. But final thoughts, guys. Kevin, you're up.
Man, it's been a wild Super Bowl. It's been a wild postseason. Man, I'd hate to see it come to an end, but now it's time to move on to more sports and see what the offseason brings for the NFL. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I certainly did, and it's always good to do the show with you guys.
Absolutely. Randy.
Yeah, it was a great show. I agree with everybody's takes tonight, and I think this was probably one of the better seasons I can remember. Even with the extra game, it seemed the best season ever, longest season ever. I mean, it lived up to the hype, and I became a bigger fan of football, but less of referees.
I think most of us.
I'm a Raider fan. I've never liked the referees. I've never liked the NFL. The higher ups in the NFL, that is. So, that's from Al Davis. That was instilled at a young age by liking the Raiders so much. But, great show, guys. As always, thanks for having me. And it's going to be an interesting off season, and can't wait to see what happens.
I agree. It's going to be very interesting off season. I can't wait to talk about it more once it gets closer and trades start really opening up. Steven, take it on home, brother.
Man, as always, great show with you guys. Recapping the Super Bowl from Sunday. It sucks that it had to come to an end for football, but we'll be back with it, in 5 months, talking about, now the offseason, what is next for franchises? What do teams need to do to get better next year to make a run at the Super Bowl? And man, basketball this upcoming spring in the playoffs and NHL in the playoffs and all that. It's going to be a great run, talking about the rest of the sports leagues, NBA, NHL. Hopefully baseball can get going, soon, and MMA, UFC doing their thing,
Absolutely.
and it's going to be a lot of fun. You can once again follow us on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. You can follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, everywhere else is the Nation's Corner. Ezra, take us on, my friend.
Absolutely. Once again, happy birthday to Hijacker Mike. We hope you have a great night, brother. Enjoy good smoke, and we'll talk to you hopefully maybe tonight on Zoom if you're not busy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Happy birthday, Hijacker. And I wouldn't be reminisce real quick if I didn't bring this up. 18 years ago, 2004, one of my favorite matches and moments happened. Kevin knows this. Randy, you know this. Ezra, you do. We all know this. Eddie Guerrero beat Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship at No Way Out 2004. And to this day, that celebration gives me chills and gets me choked up every single time. To see Eddie beating the demons that he did from 2001 to 2002, getting his life back in order, and then he was on the top of the mountain in the WWE. Became the WWE champion at No Way Out 2004, February 15th of 04. And just a great match. And man, just still to this day, we miss Eddie. Eddie was a huge part of our lives as wrestling fans growing up.
Absolutely, one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history. It's definitely something to remember. Also, don't forget this weekend, or don't forget, of course, to watch all the wrestling this weekend. All different sports, NBA action tonight, NHL action tonight, college. Watch it all, guys, and we'll talk about it next week. So, for Jill Thornton, for Kevin Rorie, for Randy Giron, and for Stephen Wyand, I am Ezra Vickery, and we will see you next week for another great edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you on Tuesday. Peace.